OTRAG, OTRAG German, Orbital Transport und Raketen AG, or Orbital Transport and Rockets, Inc., was a German company based in Stuttgart, which in the late 1970s and early 1980s planned to develop an alternative propulsion system for rockets. OTRAG was the first commercial developer and producer of space launch vehicles. The OTRAG rocket claimed to present an inexpensive alternative to existing launch systems through mass production of Common Rocket Propulsion Units (CRPU). History. OTRAG was founded in 1975 by the German aerospace engineer Lutz Kayser. OTRAG's goal was to develop, produce, and operate a low-cost satellite launch vehicle. It was the first private company to attempt to launch a private spacecraft. The OTRAG rocket was intended to be an inexpensive alternative to the European rocket Ariane and the NASA Space Shuttle. Kayser and a private consortium of 600 European investors financed the development and production of the OTRAG satellite launch vehicle. Dr. Kurt H. Debus served as chairman of the board of OTRAG after his retirement as director of NASA's Kennedy Space Center, and Dr. Wernher von Braun served as scientific advisor to Kayser. In the face of doubts by Debus and von Braun, Kayser chose in 1975 to set up testing. Debus and von Braun were concerned about the possibility of Xerian acquisition of missile technology from the facilities. Kayser decided to proceed despite their opposition. OTRAG's first test was on May 17, 1977, with the second successful launch on May 20, 1978. The third test failed on June 5, with Xerian President Mobutu Sese Seko watching the launch. Political pressure to halt the company's operations mounted quickly. France and the Soviet Union were historically opposed to German long-distance rocket development and pressured the Xerian government into closing down the development facility in 1979. Immediately afterwards, Presidents Giscard d'Estaing of France and Leonid Brezhnev of the Soviet Union convinced the West German government to cancel the OTRAG project and close down its German operations. In 1980, OTRAG moved its production and testing facilities to a desert site in Libya. A series of successful tests were conducted at this site beginning in 1981. OTRAG shut down in 1987. As the company left Libya, Muammar Gaddafi confiscated all equipment and installations, hoping to later use the technology, and German investors lost their money. Rocket design, controversies, and future outlook. Only a few political controversies are known concerning OTRAG, which involve the concerns of neighbors in Zaire and Libya about the dual-use potential of rockets. A full orbital launch vehicle was never assembled. Modules were flight tested in Zaire and Libya. 6,000 static rocket engine tests and 16 single-stage qualification tests were made to prove the concept as feasible. Hans-Dietrich Genster, the then Minister of German Foreign Affairs, is said to have finally stopped the project under pressure from France and the Soviet Union, and West Germany joined the co-financed European rocket Ariane project, which made the OTRAG project unnecessary and eliminated political entanglements of a still divided Germany in the early 19th. NASA Commercial Orbital Transportation Services stipulates a 50% U.S. national ownership in vendor companies like von Braun Debus Kayser Rocket Science LLC, DBDKRS. This would have forced Kayser, a German citizen, to sell at least 50% of his shares to Americans. More recently, the company had been advising interorbital systems, resulting in a similar modular rocket design for their Neptune series. John Carmack, founder and lead engineer of Armadillo Aerospace, has stated in his monthly reports and in forum posts that he expected his path to an orbital vehicle to include modular rockets similar to OTRAG technology. Kayser, being the founding engineer of OTRAG, visited Armadillo in May 2006 and loaned Carmack some of their original research hardware. I have been corresponding with Lutz Kayser for a few months now, and I have learned quite a few things. I seriously considered an OTRAG style Massive cluster of cheap modules, Orbital designed back when we had 98% peroxide assumed to be a prop with kerosene, and I have always considered it one of the viable routes to significant reduction in orbital launch.